I thought we'd start off this week just having a quick chat about Tooth and Tail, because I believe we've all played it this week. And as we all got it from... we got it... Oh, I'm Trent J, by the way. I'm Terry. I wasn't here last week. Hello. I'm here as well. But anyway, yes, so George, as you sort of introduced us all to this game, do you want to crack on with the Tooth and Tail?
Yeah. I mean, I can give a rough summary of what my experience what it has been with, anyways, tongue twister aside. It's a strategy game. We've all been playing it. It's what I really like about it is it's very fast paced. It's very new player friendly, but it's complicated enough to where there's a lot of depth to the strategy, and it's a very fast paced, enjoyable strategy game. It takes a lot of the micromanaging out of things. And I think that's probably the thing that I like the most out of it is that while there is a little bit of micromanaging, it's more about let's get some troops going, let's kill some people, let's get some strategy going, and see who can basically win.
Yeah, I found that as well. It's just like it starts out very fast. You sort of start, put your farms down, put your little things down that generate the enemies, and then you've got an army within like a minute, right? And you can just go. And I really like that.
There's been a lot of comparisons to like StarCraft, and I mean, I can kind of see what they're talking about because it is about, you have to expand very quickly and gain your resources. You have to start creating more and more farms because your farms decay and then they deplete and then you're done.
Yeah,
it's definitely fast, but the minimalist side is probably what I think is the kind of best selling point of that, because there is so little that you have to do. And I know that in RTS games, there generally aren't many controls. It's normally click and go. But because you are the cursor, it removes even that element of kind of drawing a box around what units you want to select and drawing a this and that. And I haven't quite got used to rolling through the units and pulling certain units over to me because I'm still not that far into the story, but no, it's quite good. I'm impressed with it so far.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the easy controls, I was really surprised with the fact that you can do everything. The WAS and D keys just literally move the camera, and then everything else is pretty much done on your mouse. It's just so quick and easy to get into.
It kind of keeps you on your toes because you constantly have to keep moving yourself essentially to kind of, put troops here, make sure you have this farm going. So it does have that hecticness to it that some of the other RTS games have, but it's just simplified so beautifully. That's what like Dan said, it's just really very well done minimalistically.
It does feel odd initially, and, well, I suppose not even initially. It feels odd all the way through that you're this big character and that you can't attack because you're the cursor, basically. Because you're this big character and you've got these even the small kind of squirrels or lizards are aggressive, but you are the cursor, and that felt a little bit alien at first. That's my first kind of real negative with the game, is that I was never doing anything passively. You are quite literally the cursor, and yeah, I know that's a bit of an odd point because it's a positive and a negative, but it does feel a bit strange.
I rather like that aspect to it. I thought it was very interesting and unique because it's all about being aware of what your enemy's doing, and you also have to be aware of your own position at the same time. Because, yeah, if you die, then suddenly you can't move any more troops and you have to wait for yourself to respawn. I kind of like that a little bit. Even if you are just the cursor, I think it adds a kind of an extra, a little bit of a layer of a strategy to it.
But I'm the cursor, and at the same time, I'm the general, so I've got health. So like in Command and Conquer or StarCraft, if I mouse my cursor over an enemy base to give an order, I don't get penalized for the amount of time that I spend with my cursor over that base. And I suppose it's probably because I kind of live and breathe, for a long time I lived and breathed RTS titles. And so it feels a bit odd that I'm almost penalised for having a quick scout ahead. But that said, I am still enjoying the game, and I'm getting through the levels with kind of minimal retries, and I'm making decent progress. So it's not that bad a point. I notice now that I seem to be gaining more health as the battle goes on for longer. Yeah. Unless that mechanic is explained in a different way, like the amount of farms you have or whatever, but But that's quite good. But yeah, it just seems odd that because some of the enemy generals keep dashing towards my farms.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was kind of hilarious. They keep just like running into my base and dying over and over again.
But are they attacking or are they just
Scouting?
Oh, okay, that's fine. Because I wasn't there, because I was also scouting off, I kind of thought, how comes they get to attack and I don't? But then obviously we were overpowering. Well, the pigs that man the farms were overpowering them. I want to change the subject slightly, unless anyone wants to. Does anyone have anything else to say about the game's mechanics?
Not from me.
There was one thing I did actually want to bring up. Like, my only gripe with the game Tooth and Tail thus far, though, is that the story of it, like, it's not as awesome as I'd hoped, because it has such great like art and it looks like such a great setting. I expected a little bit more from the story, and it's just like, okay, so they eat each other. All right, whatever.
I was just going to say, if nobody's got anything to say about the mechanics, I want to say that the story is absolutely brilliant. And
What? Really?
Yeah, and I really like the setting. There's kind of this kind of industrial age thing going on. There's also obviously the Russian Revolution. The whole animals kind of just simply doing it because they're hungry and want to eat something is a bit odd. But cannibalism's a bit of a taboo, you know. It's not something cool that we engage. We don't nip down the shops and buy a human leg and cook it up. So obviously it is a little bit odd. But then if you're trying to dehumanize, as in remove that attachment to the terrible things that happened during the revolutionary period and the industrial era, then you're going to change the characters from human to something else. And by changing them to animals, unfortunately, you've now got a whole bunch of factions who the worst thing that's happening to them is they're all being starved and killed. And all of a sudden, because they are actually what we as humans do eat, you've now got a bit of a conundrum where you changed your main characters to non-humans, but also into food. So,
well, I didn't get that much from the story, to be honest with you. I think maybe I'm just not a historical buff. But
no, I mean the historical influences are really, really good. Although it doesn't quite make that much sense when the squirrels are like, hey, we're squirrels and we're starving, you need to go kill some badgers so we can eat the badgers,
right.
When squirrels live on nuts, right? You know, not to suddenly leave that historical reference and go on to a, you know, biological one. But it is good. I do like the whole, because the gear they're wearing and the whole kind of workers' revolt and it's the workers revolting against an upper class, but then the royalty aren't getting involved, and then another faction appears, and it's all. I really like that. I like that kind of interlacing story, and I like the settings, and I like that they've taken on characteristics from history, while obviously also simply in some points just being influenced by it, as opposed to directly replicating it. But I think that's a really good setting. I'm sorry that you don't.
Well, I mean, just to counter what you said, in my opinion, I don't think there was enough world building, to be honest with you. Like I said, I think they have such an amazing setting. They have such an amazing art style. They have such an amazing kind of theme around, you know, animals, and, you know, they're wearing clothes, and there's lizards, and there's squirrels, and there's all sorts of crazy, like a sniper fox, and that's all really cool. But to me, it doesn't feel like there was enough world building. I think a lot of what you're talking about, I mean, yes, obviously some of them are obviously references, but you're kind of drawing probably a lot, I think, from history, where I think they're just, I don't know if they earned that, if you know what I mean. I think they're kind of just, it was very loosey-goosey the way they played with the story, if you will. And it's just one area I wish it's just been a little bit more definition on. I would like to have gotten to know, you know, more about the leaders and the factions and all that kind of jazz.
Touche. No. That's, I mean, my opinion on it is entirely propped up by my slight historical knowledge of the period in time. Without that, I'd just be the same as, you know, someone who doesn't have that information going, Oh, right. So that one's got a flamethrower, and it used to be a
Right.
that's yeah. So I know there'd be a lot of confusion if that, historical knowledge wasn't there, and that's a completely valid point. Yes, they could have done with some world building, even if it was just a big map between missions that you could view that showed you winning over certain regions, and then you could click and see that leader that they just mentioned, is seated here, and they have this and that and this and that. So
Fair enough. Too bad they don't have mallards in the game.
Indeed. Ooh.
we don't talk about mallards anymore.
No,
Okay.
We'll steer clear of that. Okay, so thank you for that, guys. Let's move on to the next thing.